Hi, this is Thomas with Cozy Grammar speaking to you from my cozy writing yurt. We're in the middle of our Ask Cozy Grammar session. These are live sessions that we then record so that we can share the answers from these sessions with all of our students and with the general public as well. This next question comes from Georgia N., writing from Albuquerque. And Georgia N asks a fantastic question. This is the first time I'm seeing this question from a student. She says, "What are ergative verbs?" Now, Georgia, um, I love that you're asking this question. Many people, maybe even most people, have never even heard of something called an ergative verb. But we are all using ergative verbs all the time. So what are these things? What are ergative verbs? Ergative verbs are simply verbs that can be used transitively or intransitively, depending on their sentence. Now, let me back up, because transitive and intransitive are words, like ergative, that may seem quite intimidating at first. And one of the most important things to remember about learning grammar, studying grammar, is that grammar is actually giving us an additional language, a language with which we can talk about language. We can talk about the magical powers of words. We can talk about the properties of sentences and expressions. So let me do a quick review, Georgia, of transitive and intransitive verbs. And rather than give you a definition, I'm going to start with an example. I'm going to start with a trick from Marie that she uses in the basic cozy grammar course, which is a wonderful test for discovering whether a verb is transitive or intransitive. And I think you'll see from the example the ideas behind the terms transitive and intransitive, and then I'll define them more formally. So here is the first example. The example is Marie was walking on the beach in front of her cozy beach cottage, and she says, the waves lap the beach. And just imagine the waves, and you can see the water as it sort of laps the beach. And I love this word "lap" because it suggests that the water is kind of like, maybe it's like a dog or a friendly animal, or there's a kind of gentle quality. It's different from waves pounding the beach, for instance. So the waves lap the beach. Now here's Marie's trick. The trick is, ask yourself if you can ask the question "what" after the verb. So in this case, the waves lap what? And we have an answer. The waves lap the beach. Because we have an answer, we know that we have what in grammatical language is called the object, the direct object. So the waves are lapping something. They are doing their action to something, namely to the beach. So we have, in this case, a transitive verb, because a transitive verb is simply a verb which takes an object, which does its action to something else. Here's another example. If I say I write a story, we can ask the question, I write a what? I write a story, because I can even ask the question and answer it, the what question. We know I'm talking about a transitive verb. Now contrast that with Marie's other example. The waves lap playfully. Now we're still on the beach, and we're seeing the waves, but now we see the waves lapping in a playful manner, maybe mischievously, maybe hurriedly, or maybe sparkling in the sunlight. The waves lap playfully. Now watch. Can we ask the question "what" after the verb? The waves lap what? Well, we know that they're lapping the beach, but if we look right at the sentence and only at the sentence doesn't answer the question "what?" The waves lap, well, it tells us playfully. Now that's an answer to a different kind of question. That's an answer to the question of how. The waves lap how? The waves lap playfully. Because we can answer the question how, but not the question what, we know that we have an intransitive verb. And an intransitive verb is simply a verb which does not have or need an object, an answer to the question, what? And in fact, there are many important verbs which are intransitive verbs. For example, I walk. If I happen to be walking, I might say in the present tense, I walk. Now notice, we can't ask the question, I walk what? It doesn't quite make sense. So we know that it's not a transitive verb. We know it's an intransitive verb. It's a verb where I am doing the action on my own. I'm not doing the action to something else. Now, here's another example. I opened the window. I opened the what? The window. Therefore, opened is a transitive verb in this sentence. But now watch this. The window opened. I can't ask the question what anymore. The window opened what? Well, the window sort of opened itself. It did its action on its own. So it's an intransitive verb in this sentence. So in fact, open can be either transitive or intransitive depending on the sentence that it's been used in. In fact, lap 2, as you've already seen, can be transitive or intransitive. And in fact, many verbs can be transitive or intransitive. For example, I said, I walk. In the sentence, I walk, walk is an intransitive verb. But if I say, I walk the dog, now I'm doing that action to something else, namely the dog. We can answer the question, what? I walk the what? I walk the dog. Now walk is a transitive verb. Verbs that can be both transitive and intransitive are ergative verbs. Now, this word ergative may seem very strange. You may never have heard You may never have heard a word quite like it before. It comes from a Greek word, which means worker. And in fact, that's what the word or the term ergative is referring to. It's referring to verbs that do different kinds of work. They're kind of like worker verbs if you want an image to help you remember them by. Maybe, for instance, you've heard the word ergonomic. That's another fancy word that not everybody encounters in their day-to-day life. But if you have heard the word ergonomic, that's referring to tools or chairs, pieces of furniture that are designed to work well with the body. Hence, ergative, ergo, the root for work in both ergative verbs or ergonomic. By the way, ergative verbs have another name. They have an additional name. You can choose one or the other. Most people don't know either of them. So, Georgia, you're getting some secret, if you will, knowledge here. Another name for ergative verbs is ambitransitive verbs. Now, you may have heard of the more familiar word ambidextrous. Ambidextrous simply means being able to use your right or your left hand for your activities, whether it's writing or opening a door or cooking or whatever it might be. Ambidextrous, both hands. Ambitransitive, both kinds, both transitive and intransitive. So, Georgia, I applaud you for asking this question. I hope that this clears up or gives you at least a clear idea what ergative verbs are. Do feel free to write to me at cozygrammar.com again if you want to follow up on that question, or if you think of any other wonderful questions like the one you sent us today. Thank you, Georgia.